Good morning, everyone. We have made it. It is the last day of this course, and this is my last overview video for this class as well. You have done exceptional work over the last 4 weeks, and now it is time to talk about bringing all of that work together in your final unit plan and reflections. So this video is here to support you. As always, I'm going to walk you through the requirements. And our last sort of assignments and just sort of last things that we need to do for this course. So it should be pretty short, and I'm going to dive right in. You'll notice that I have the day 1920 overview page pulled up. Our topics and objectives are pretty straightforward today. So instead of doing a whole slideshow, I'm just going to walk you through them here. So what I want you to work on over the next couple of days is your final unit plan reflection, which I'm going to describe in a sec. And then thinking about your overall unit alignment and cohesion. So continuing that fine-tuning process that you have been working on for the last 3 weeks since we turned in the first stage of this unit plan. I'll talk about the rubric, I'll talk about how I'm going to grade these, all that good stuff. So your objectives, you're going to complete the final stage of your semester. It feels weird to say semester, but you know what I mean. Semester unit plan through engaging in a reflective look on your process. You're going to continue to fine tune that cohesiveness through considering whether all the elements in your unit plan align. And then you'll understand required due dates, how it will be assessed, etc. So this video, when it is done, will appear here. You have no readings, obviously, for today, for day 19 or day 20. And your final attendance participation grade, I'm going to describe how to go through that at the end of this video. Okay. Your unit plan and reflection are due Friday, June 26th by 11:59 p.m. However, please submit these as early as you'd like. So if it is Thursday morning and you're like, you know what, I just want to get this done, I'm going to read through my pod members' feedback. I'm going to read through my feedback. I'm going to fine tune everything and do my reflection and get it in. Cool. It actually helps me when you all get these early because, it spreads my grading load out over a couple of days. So I'm going to pull up our course final, our requirements, okay? So in some ways, this is not a hard assignment because you have been working on this consistently for the last 3 weeks. At this point, all you're doing is revising, fine-tuning, and writing a reflection. So in some ways, this should be one of the easier assignments for you to do and one of the easier assignments for me to grade because I've already been engaging with your unit plans since the end of the first week. And what I'm really kind of looking for now is how you are continuing to make revisions, whether they're revisions I've suggested or revisions your pod members have suggested, or just revisions that you personally feel are appropriate at this stage. So it's less about the kind of like really intense grading that I did for the first 3 stages that you turned in, and more about how you are fine-tuning and working through revisions. So here is what your final unit plan submission should include. A revised final upload of the unit plan. Of course, this must be in the template that I've assigned you from day one, okay? If you're using a different template, I will nicely return it and ask you to resubmit, okay? Separate from that, a reflection that details your creation and process of this unit. So this is the new piece that you are doing for your final. So this should be double spaced. I would say approximately 400 to 600 words. You don't need to get crazy, but it needs to include the following information. The first point, how you integrated ideas, concepts, and strategies learned in the course into your unit plan. So this should be specific, right? If you incorporated some discussion activities from Jeff Severe's, bring that in. If you mentioned Diazi Martinez, bring that in. So anything that we covered in this course, material-wise, textbook-wise, etc., you want to talk about how you used that and how you integrated those resources into your unit plan. Insights into lesson planning you gained as a result of creating this plan, even if it was just, wow, lesson planning takes forever, right? So give me some insights here. Non-English language arts teachers, your thoughts about the value of infusing literacy instruction into your content, okay? This is really interesting. ELA teachers, your thoughts about the benefits of contents outside of English integrating literacy. So really thinking about literacy across the content areas, going back to those initial points we made about how everyone, all teachers should be teaching literacy, right? how you brought your own creativity into the planning process, right? This is what makes planning fun. Unit planning, lesson planning is that it draws upon your own creativity. So think about how you pulled that in. And finally, this is so important. Let me just look at me highlighting this for you all. How you implemented my suggestions for revision as well as your pod members' suggestions for revision. Okay, this is so important. In your reflective work, I want to know how those revisions caused you to, or those suggested revisions caused you to make changes. Okay, so please make sure that you have this section in your reflection. This is the rubric that I will be using to grade you, okay? And it follows along the template, okay? So I'll be looking at context, which is your name, unit topic, subject area, grade level, and selected text with links, okay? Your desired results, your content standards, your ELA literacy standards, your enduring understandings and essential questions. These should be cohesive and well aligned. Your acquisition section, which is the required amount of tier 2 and tier 3 vocabulary with definitions, descriptions for each, 2 to 4 knowledge objectives, and 2 to 4 skill objectives. Your assessment, these are your performance tasks, okay, as well as one formative assessment to be used during learning for one lesson. Please make sure that that lesson is specified, okay? And then you'll notice that the highest bulk of points is, of course, for your 5 to 7 lesson plans, okay? And that is, of course, what we just did. Then you're going to get 15 points overall for what I call cohesion, alignment, and care, okay? So your unit plan as a whole is demonstrating cohesion, it's demonstrating alignment, all of the different sections align with one another, they make sense together. The unit plan as a whole reflects time dedicated to revision, readability, clarity, professionalism, right? So if your pod members and I have spent a lot of time giving you suggestions and feedback, I want to see that you have incorporated that into your unit plan, okay? That to me is an example of professionalism, okay? Taking suggestions from your peers and implementing them into your teaching practice is huge. And then your unit plan as a whole reflects commitment to multi-literacies learned and discussed across the semester, okay? This is a unit plan that is rooted in literacy and rooted in UDL and multimodality. So I want to see that, right, across the span of your unit plan. And then the reflection itself is 15 points, and that, of course, your requirements for that are up here, for a total of 90 points possible. Like I said, okay, I kind of know where you're at: context, desired results, acquisition, assessment, evidence. I've already graded those sections for you. What I'm looking for mostly is these last two sections, right? I should be able to go back into the early stages of your unit plan. And if I asked you to incorporate revisions, I see those revisions there, right? I should be able to look at the suggestions from your pod members and see that you incorporated those into your unit plan. And then, of course, the reflection is brand new, right? So I'm going to spend a lot of time with that, making sure that it covers all of the material listed here. So that's that, right? Honestly, like I said, this should be, other than the reflection, a relatively chill final for you. You've already done all the work, right? Which is so exciting. And for me too, I've already done all of the assessments. And so now it's just, I'm just excited to see how you've revised this and changed it and strengthened it. And I'm excited to read your reflections. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You all have done such great work. So the last thing that I want to go over is your attendance participation grade, your final one. There is a link under the Day 1920 module to our teaching toolbox. And you'll notice that at the top of this, you have a manifesto. And this manifesto is inspired by the sentence starters that I used on Tuesday's Zoom. But instead of just relating them to writing, I'm going to relate them to multi-literacies and literacy in general. So I chose 4 of them for you to fill out here. Literacy instruction should be: to teach reading, writing, and multi-literacies effectively, I need to. In my classroom, students will use reading, writing, and academic skills too. And then my favorite, I want to know what your biggest takeaway from this course is. So what are you going to step into the rest of your coursework thinking about? What are you going to step into the classroom thinking about in relation to literacy instruction? So yeah, just really excited to read that. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I am a big crier, so I'm gonna end this quickly so I don't get all teary and whatnot. But I just wanted to say thank you for joining me on this crazy blitz of a summer course. This course, 438, is so content heavy and very work heavy. And that's even in a normal, 16-week semester. So in a 4-week semester, it's wild. And you all have done such a good job of staying on top of things and reaching out to me when you needed help and being invested in the subject matter. And you all have set the standard for 438 for classes to come. Okay. So you should be proud of yourselves. You now have a working unit plan in hand that you can use in job interviews, that you could use for your final teaching portfolio, that you can use in the classroom. So that's very exciting. The other thing I want to say is don't be a stranger. Even though you only had me for 4 weeks, it doesn't mean that you can't reach out if you need a letter of recommendation or you need advice. I would love to have you for another class. I'm teaching two classes in the fall. One is a graduate class. So if I have any graduate certificate students in here, it is a class on using art, drama, movement across the curriculum to enhance literacy instruction. So that's really exciting. And then the other class I'm teaching in the fall is one of my all-time favorites, and that's books and related materials for young adults. So basically young adult literature. So if you're interested, those two classes are there. In the spring, I am doing the student teaching seminar for English language arts peeps. So some of you English language arts peeps might see me again in the spring. But yes, please don't be a stranger. I am always around UNM, drop by for office hours. Yes, it has been a privilege to have you all. And yeah, I'm sad. I'm going to miss everyone. And like I said, don't be a stranger. Reach out if you need any help. All right, everyone. Happy last day.